This is Mountain Vision. Welcome to the Wildcats Football Coaches Show, your home for all things Split River football, with Wildcats head coach Josh Dare and your host David Carden.
Let's go!
Welcome to the Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Dare. I'm your host David Carden. Flint River went on the road last week up to Sharpsburg and won a big game, 33-0 against region opponent Bethlehem Temple Christian. Coach, got to be nice to get that first region win.
Yeah, it was a great win. Kids played well. We came out and just our defense was spot on from the start. We tackled probably better than we've tackled all year. We were one-on-one in a lot of situations and went low and made a lot of big plays in the open field. And then there were a lot of times when they tried to run in between tackles that we were gang tackling and had a lot of helmets around the football. So we were flowing well. We were blitzing well. Our linebackers were getting into the backfield and causing them some problems. So defensively it was awesome. And then offensively they came out with 8 in the box and they weren't going to let us run it up the middle. So we struggled a little early on. Getting yardage, running in between tackles. So then we just went to our jet and started getting outside the edge. And once we did that, they had a hard time stopping it. So.
Yeah, y'all started the game off on a strong point. That opening kickoff, y'all came up with a forced fumble and a recovery.
Yeah, that's something we preach a lot. The defense is much easier when you take the ball away from them because then you don't have to play it. So, and that was Brett Williamson. We kick off and they are returning it. And he went up and we preach a lot. First guy go for the tackle. Second guy go for the ball, and we had him wrapped up, and Brett came in and just one hand ripped the ball out. Now it's 1st and 10 from about our 35, and we went in and scored. So that's a great way to start it off. So.
Yeah, that first possession you mentioned it, they had 8 in the box. Y'all were struggling to run up the middle, and y'all got down to 4th down, and y'all brought Murphy on that jet sweep, and he was able to get a nice run on 4th down for the first down.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job running jet for us. He was still a little banged up, had a little foot injury. And managed to get the corner kind of whenever he wanted to. We've been working a lot with Greg Chambers, our tight end, on reaching the end, and he did a great job. And we had Sam Baggerly at sniffer, and he was getting out there and double teaming the end and moving up to backer, and he did a great job. And if we set the edge, if we can get that end sealed, Jet's pretty much unstoppable because now you got Brett lead blocking out there for the wide receiver coming across, and Brett's going to kill any strong safety that comes rolling down. So that's just something that's big into our offense, and the later in the season go, the better we're getting at setting at that edge, and we're just got to continue to get better at it. And that's going to be something that's going to be big for us.
So. That first possession you spoke of Brett Williamson getting out there lead blocking, he finished that drive off with a touchdown, kind of right in between those tackles.
Yeah, we like Brett. Running back out of shotgun, it puts him 7 yards deep, and we want to run a play. It's just straight ahead man blocking, and he gets downhill and he gets a full head of steam, and a lot those linemen standing still and him running at him. Yeah, they might contact him, but they're not going to stop him, and that's what happened. Is we had hat on hat, and some of the guys were trying to reach out and grab him, and you're not going to stop him from getting 2 or 3 yards, reaching out and grabbing. So he did a great job, just getting downhill, running behind his pads, and making sure nobody stopped him. So.
Y'all had a short field on that second possession too, and Parker Williams broke a big run for a touchdown.
Yep, we just ran a little quarterback counter, and guys pulled, and we didn't block it great. Both guys went for the kick out, and something you see on film, we just were a little off track. And we ended up getting the main threat blocked, and Parker cut underneath the kick out and took off. And when he gets in the open field, he's really tough to tackle. There was one guy that had a chance to tackle him. He just kind of ducked under his tackle and cut it all the way back across field, I think, for about 40 yards, or 35, 40 yards. Just a good run. We had a chance Friday night to get our athletes out in space. And we got guys that when they get out in space, really tough to bring down one-on-one. And, I think Friday night was a good example of it.
Yeah, that was the first real opportunity they've had to kind of run wild out there.
Absolutely, and a lot of it has to do with our line. We did have some missed assignments, but you're going to have missed assignments every week. But we also had some guys really improving. We had guys we've been working on down blocking a lot and really getting people moved out of there and running our feet, and that was something our line did great. We were early on in the season, we would go hit our guy and thought that was the end of the block. And now we're starting to talk to him about, you got to stay on them, keep running your feet. And Friday night, you saw it in film where guys were contacting and just running their feet until the whistle blew, and that's why we had so much space for runs.
Speaking of guys improving, y'all got a new guy running the jet sweeps this last game. Chase Lewis had a couple nice runs.
Yeah, he did. He's really fast for us, and he does a good job shifting and moving, and we call it dipping in. And when you run jet, you want to dip in and make those guys think you're coming inside to help with your lead blockers. And he's starting to get that down where we dip his shoulder inside like we're about to turn it upfield and then bounce it to the outside. And that just kind of, when he dips in, the outside defenders, they have to freeze. And then when they do that, our guys just have the chance to reach him. So he's dipping in and getting around him. He's doing a really good job for us. His thing, the reason he hasn't been carrying it more is just ball security. We were kind of nervous early on. He was kind of carrying it real loose, but something he's kind of gotten better at, and now we feel more comfortable with him having the balls.
Something y'all coached up.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you got that's important, hanging on to that ball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Jacob Chester had a nice defensive play. Bethlehem went to a double pass a couple of different times.
Yeah.
And he was able to read it and almost came down with an interception.
Yeah, Jacob does a great job for us at corner. We're fortunate for him to be our backup, and when we put him in, it's just like putting in a starter. He's always in the right position. Like in Gatewood, he was in for one play in Gatewood, got the interception, and then he got a lot of time Friday night. And he reads his keys, and they had us the first time. They ran it one time, and Dawson Taylor kind of ran back and got his hand in the way and deflected it. And then the second time they ran it, Jacob just sat in his zone, and they threw it back across field, and he was right there. So it was a good play.
They had some interesting offensive formations out there. Not quite one style. What would you call that they were running?
Basically, it's the wing tee out of shotgun.
Okay.
And then they were running a lot of quarterback sweeps, so they were just motioning one of the wings across to really overload one side, snap at the quarterback, and go. And that's something, we were out leveraged on the edge, but never gave up the edge. And we did a good job of sealing the edge and not letting them bounce in and get around us and use their speed to get upfield. We did a good job of getting off blocks, and just real happy with the guys. Linebackers, like I said earlier on, they were in the backfield making it to where nobody was running in a straight line. They were having to bounce everything, and that's huge. If you get these guys running in a straight line, they're hard to handle and hard to stay with. So as long as we keep them bouncing it, then it gives our flow time to get over the top and help make the play. So and then when they did get the edge, they got the edge a couple times. And, Chase Lewis, I know, came up and made 2 phenomenal tackles in the open field to where one-on-one, if he doesn't make the tackle, the guy's gone. And he goes right up to him, goes right at the kneecaps and stopped him right where he was. So that was good. And then we like to put Brett to the field.
To the wide side.
To the wide side, because that's where most teams like to run. And they tried to run that way, and he wasn't having it. He was getting upfield and making plays in the backfield. So, all around good effort. So.
Yeah, it seemed like Williamson was in that backfield almost every play.
He was. He's tough to block. If you try to block him one-on-one, it's pretty tough for somebody to do that. So, Sam Bagley had a phenomenal game. He was flying all over the field. He was making plays from sideline to sideline. He was getting in the backfield, causing those guys to bounce a lot. And our linebacker play has probably been the biggest improvement from week 1 to now. Those guys are getting after it, and they're making tackles. They're making one-on-one tackles, and they're causing offenses to have to kind of change what they're doing because they're getting inside and getting into the backfield, and now those guys are having to bounce it. And that's exactly what our defense is set up for, is for you to bounce it out wide, and that's where we flow and come because we're pretty speedy. We've got some speed to, if you try to bounce it, you're not going to get the edge. But we're not as big as most of the teams, so that's our number one goal is we got to fill our gaps, make them bounce it, and use our speed to get to the edge and get them.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks in a row. Bagley's had a good game from that linebacker spot.
Yeah, he's really starting to kind of catch his groove now, and we're starting to blitz him a little bit more, and he's a downhill linebacker, so we want to keep him moving downhill and getting in the backfield. And there was plenty of times in that game where we didn't blitz because I think it was 21-0 after the first quarter, so we didn't kind of let our linebackers just kind of work on some stuff and just sit back and read it. And when he was sitting back and reading, he was getting sideline to sideline and making tackles. So very, very proud of him. So, and then Dylan Murray had a huge play for us. it was a 3rd and 1, and they went under center, and they were going to run their big fullback just right up the middle. And we ran a blitz where Dylan went A-gap, and Dylan comes in A-gap and hits the guy in his kneecaps in the backfield and just stopped him right where he hit him. And then became 4th and 5, and we got the stop. So that was a huge play for us. So
Was that the 4th down that they tried the fake punt on, and y'all came up with the interception?
it was. Yep, it was. It was the same 4th down. Yeah, or the same possession. It was absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went base. It was a wet night, so we didn't really want to put in our punt return and take a chance of fumbling anything. So we just stayed in our defense, and we sent Dalton Bowen off the edge. And he went hard. Guy caught the ball, and he saw him pull it up, and he hit him right as he threw it. And I mean, he hit him hard. The ball didn't hardly make it back to the line of scrimmage. And Brett saw it kind of helicoptering in the air and went over there and intercepted it. And that was a great play for us.
Yeah, it gave y'all another short field.
It did. Yep, it did. So, and I think a couple plays later, we ran a little inside zone read, and our play side just completely destroyed their side, and our guard wrapped around and picked up the linebacker, and Parker was reading the backside, and they kind of sat, so he handed it to Brett, and he was off for the races. So.
That was that long touchdown running head.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Yeah, y'all broke a couple of long runs.
Yeah, we did. We did. We didn't have a ton of yards that game just because, we're not into embarrassing people. So when we get a lead, we're going to slow down, work on some things. And actually, that's it was 21-0 after the first quarter. And then we talked to the guys after the first quarter and said we're going to go to the eye. It's something that we've been putting in, and we're going to practice it, and we're going to work on it, and we're just going to continue to try to get better at it. It's a great chance for us to work on it against number ones opposed to working against our scout team every day. So, and we struggled a little bit with it. We struggled getting the snaps. There were a good bit of fumbled snaps. Wet night, haven't been under center a lot all year, but it was a good chance for us to work on it. And that's kind of why we kind of stalled out in the second quarters, because we were working on things. But, there were a couple times where we got in 3rd and long and went back to gun and ended up picking up the yardage, and then went back under center just to, like I said, just keep working on stuff. So.
We'll be back with more of head coach Josh Dare right after this.
Murray Company Realtors in Griffin offer a wonderful riverfront family home. This 2-story Victorian-style home located off Highway 18 along the Flint River features 3 bedrooms with 2 full and 1 half bath, open living room, and a full finished basement. Situated on more than 24 acres with a view of the Flint River, this beauty is over 3,300 square feet. Call Mark Hawkins today to view this lovely home. Looking to buy, sell, or rent? Murray Company Realtors is ready to meet your real estate needs.
I'm Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. The versatility of the Big Green Egg is unmatched. It delivers big results as a grill, a smoker, and even an outdoor oven. When the doctor cooks, I demand the best, and that's why I cook on the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
Visit Taylor Foster Hardware in Manchester and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience on the Big Green Egg. Taylor Foster Hardware, Main Street in Manchester.
Welcome back to the Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Dare. I'm your host, David Carden. Y'all kept it on the ground most of the night. Mm-hmm. Did y'all throw any passes?
We threw some with our backup quarterback when Alex Posey came in the game. We threw a little bit then, but early on we didn't. Like I said, it was a wet, nasty night, so there was really no reason to try it. And if we're running the football, we're not going to throw it. That's our bread and butter, and if that's working, we're going to stick with it. So, and we got it working early, and just stuck with it. So there was no reason to really throw it. Plus, their defensive ends were athletic. Their secondary was athletic. They're fast as all get out. We didn't want to take a chance of a tip ball or us not put enough zip on a ball and kind of float it, and they have a chance to pick six it.
Yeah,
so we felt comfortable handing it to our guys, and we've done a really good job of protecting the football this year, and they did it again Friday night. So we just stuck with that. There was no reason for us to get out there and start throwing it in the conditions.
Y'all played a great game. Y'all came out and started that 3rd quarter. Mm-hmm. First play from scrimmage was a touchdown. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like I mentioned earlier. Greg Chambers we haven't run with the tight end much this year, but the last couple of weeks we started putting it in, and he's really starting to pick up his blocking scheme, and that's something that we really need out of him, and it's starting to click. And he's one of the guys that we talked preseason about that we didn't know when it was going to click. First year ever playing. He's a senior. So it's starting to click now, and he's starting to learn how to block and learn how to run his feet. And now we just got to get him more aggressive. There's a couple times in the film where he goes to block somebody and just kind of waits on him to look and when he engages instead of just taking that knockout shot. So that's something we're working on with him. But the first play, we just came out with just your basic kick-out play. And our play side collapsed down, did a great job down blocking. Greg picked up the outside linebacker. Brett came across and kicked out the defensive end. And we gave it to James, and James put his foot in the ground and cut it back. And, I mean, probably went for close to 70 yards on it. So it was good to see 22 get loose. You know, that's the first time this year that he's really gotten loose, and he's been banged up and had some injuries. And he was banged up a little bit Friday night, but it was nice to see that. And we talked about it at the beginning of the season. You know, we are finally starting to get confidence in each other. The backs are getting confidence in the line's getting confidence in the backs, and that's, you know, confidence is huge in sports. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing. If you don't have the confidence in your teammates, it's going to struggle. But now we're starting to get the confidence between each other, and I really hope we start clicking. We got a tough schedule, tough road coming up these last 3 games, and it's good to see these guys starting to play some football.
Yeah, Murphy made a nice play on special teams as well. Snap get over his head, and he turned around and picked it up and looped back around and was still able to get the punt off.
Yep, and that's, you know, he's done that multiple times for us. That's why we like having him back there, because if something does break down, you know, we feel comfortable with him even just taking off. We know that he's going to make something bad. He can turn something bad into good very quickly. So, yeah, he did a good job with it. Turned around. He didn't feel any pressure, so he just kind of gathered himself and punted it downfield. So it was a good play for him.
Yep. That was the first time all year y'all have kind of invoked maybe the mercy rule.
Right. Yep.
That was something we hadn't seen out of y'all this year.
Yeah, it was nice. You know, it was nice to have that running clock. You don't like it as much for the guys that don't get to play a lot because they don't get as much time because the clock's running. But definitely nice to go in and handle business. You know, we've had a rough schedule, and you know, and we talked about it with the kids preseason. If we stay healthy and get through it, it's just going to get us better. You know, it's just going to make us ready for the playoffs, region play, and that's exactly what it did. You know, that team wasn't a bad team. It's just the teams that we've been playing have been really dominant and really good teams, and we've been sticking with them. And we finally face a team that is equal to us or a little less than us, and we take care of business. You know, and that's what you want to see from your team. And it was nice for them not to have a game where it's a 4-quarter game and we're banging for 4 quarters, and we were able to get a lot of the starters out of there after halftime. And you know, we got a bye this week, so they got, you know, half a Friday night off, and then they got this whole week, and we're just going to kind of keep recovering and getting ready for this stretch. Yeah, one of your backups you put in, Jake Nash, came up with a big play on defense. Yeah, he did. Jake does a great job for us during practice. He plays linebacker, and him and Garrett Cook are the scout team linebackers, and that's one of the toughest positions to play in practice because we're constantly handing the ball to Brett Williamson up the middle, and you got 2 freshmen coming up there and having to tackle them, and they don't back down. You know, if there's a hole and it's them and Brett, they're coming 90 miles an hour. You know, they don't win that battle a lot of times, but it's good to see them not scared and moving downhill. And then, you know, Jake Friday night, it was really an incredible interception, a great play, and you know, he dropped close to 20 yards from a linebacker position. You know, quarterback backs up, throws a bomb, and he underthrew him. Well, the linebacker, I mean, he was in a great position. You know, anytime you get your linebacker dropping and he's reading that there's nothing in front of him, so he just continues his drop, finds the ball, and catches it. That was really nice to see out of a young guy. So we were happy with that.
So that's something to build on for the future, then.
Absolutely. Yeah, our young guys. This, you know, with the bye week and you know, going against your scout team and past couple weeks going pretty hard there in practice, these young guys have really picked it up. You know, and that's one reason we're improving. It's because they're improving, so it's making it harder for us on Tuesdays and Wednesdays to move the football against our scout team, and it's more game realistic. So we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that second half, it seemed like you were able to get most of the rest of the team some playing time.
Yeah, the whole team played Friday night. But, you know, it's tough because you can't just pull out all of your starters. You know, our offensive line stayed in the whole game. And the reason was because they didn't have enough kids to put their second string in. So when we put in our second string, they're still playing their varsity. So we didn't want to just pull out all of the linemen and put in a bunch of young linemen. Next thing you know, our backs and receivers are getting killed. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to play this game. This is awful. So, we kept them in just to make sure they were protected, and it worked out great. It worked. Anytime everybody gets on the field and you get a bunch of the young guys, give them the ball, and it's fun for the old guys to watch them. We watched film, and we were all laughing at them. And there was one play, a freshman was on the field, and it was Will Baggerly, and we're running jet, and we lift his leg to put him in motion. He forgot to have his mouthpiece. He didn't have his mouthpiece in, so we sent him in motion, and he's coming in motion, taking his mouthpiece out of his helmet, putting it in. He puts it in, gets the ball. It was pretty funny. So it was a fun night for everybody. So
That was good to have a fun night instead of a hard, tough night.
yeah, we needed one. So it was definitely well deserved for these kids. So.
You mentioned Bethlehem Temple didn't have enough kids to put in a second string.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in the game, they only had enough kids to put 10 guys out on the field.
Right. I think that was in the second quarter. It may have been early in the third. I don't remember. But yeah, they had gotten a few banged up, and they had 3 guys on the sideline, and they had 10 on the field. And then thankfully they were able to get their bumps and bruises kind of gone and able to get back on the field. I think after the game all of them were fine. There was one where I think one might have tweaked an ankle, and then the next play a guy tweaked his hamstring, and that's why they were off and down to 10, and then they kind of got everything back. So.
Was that weird for y'all to go out there and play a team that's that short-handed?
Well, it's tough. I mean, no, because in a couple of years we may be like that. You know what I'm saying? So you see it, and you try to take care of each other. And that's something that we're going to do. And like I said, it was 21-0 after the first quarter. We could have scored 60 or 70 if we wanted to, but you don't get anything out of that. So we had a chance to work on some stuff. So we started working on the stuff, and keep the score as low as possible. Us still win. But you don't want to kill kids' morale. We're not in the business to go run up scores and try to embarrass people.
Yeah.
So
Y'all don't get any style points in the rankings.
Right. No BCS. So.
We'll be back with more of head coach Josh Deere right after this.
I'm Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. The versatility of the Big Green Egg is unmatched. It delivers big results as a grill, a smoker, and even an outdoor oven. When the doctor cooks, I demand the best, and that's why I cook on the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
Visit Taylor Foster Hardware in Manchester and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience on the Big Green Egg. Taylor Foster Hardware, Main Street in Manchester.
Murray Company Realtors in Griffin offer a wonderful riverfront family home. This 2-story Victorian-style home, located off Highway 18 along the Flint River, features 3 bedrooms with 2 full and 1 half bath, open living room, and a full finished basement. Situated on more than 24 acres with a view of the Flint River, this beauty is over 3,300 square feet. Call Mark Hawkins today to view this lovely home. Looking to buy, sell, or rent? Murray Company Realtors is ready to meet your real estate needs.
Welcome back to the Flint River Coaches Show with head coach Josh Deere. I'm your host, David Carden. Coach, you mentioned a couple of times, got the bye week coming up this week.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to be nice to get everybody some rest.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Practices have been great. We've kind of shortened practices down this week. We don't want long, extended practices and no game on Friday night. That kind of you got to keep the kids' interest. You got to keep them excited. You got to keep them going. And during a bye week, a lot of times you can have really bad practices, and coaches get really frustrated because you're trying to have 2.5-hour practices and they're not staying focused. So we're kind of condensing practice a little this week and just trying to have up tempo. A lot of fun practices, but also getting stuff done. So, we've been doing a lot of scrimmages and a lot of games amongst each other. We put the ball at the 10-yard line, and, starters got to score, or the first team defense has got to stop the scout team from scoring. So just kind of, we're always trying to compete as much as we can during practice to make it fun for them. Plus, when you make them have to do bear crawls or something, if they don't accomplish it, it makes them go a little harder. So, and that's what we're trying to do during practices is keep it up tempo and push them as much as possible.
So maybe some more situational stuff during the bye week instead of game prep?
Right, that's exactly right. So, we've struggled in the red zone some this year, so we're going to work from the 10-yard line in and just kind of keep putting in plays to get better inside of there, because it's tough to score in the red zone a lot of times because everything gets condensed,
Right.
So, and teams will put 8, 9 in the box and say, let's go, and then from a coach's standpoint, if you run the ball 60 yards down the field and you get into the red zone, you want to continue running the ball to score. You don't want to do something stupid and not give your best athletes a chance to put the ball in the end zone. So just something we're going to continue to work on and put in some new wrinkles and everything. So it's been a great week for us so far.
You mentioned shorter practices, no days off for the kids, just a little less time each day.
We'll take Friday off and let them go relax and enjoy their Friday. And but yeah, no days off. You can't take days off this time of year. And we went Monday. We watched film and conditioned, and then Tuesday we had an hour and a half scrimmage the majority of the time, and 7-on-7 stuff, and that's the same thing we'll do on Wednesday. And then Thursday we'll treat it just like a game week, and we'll go through all of our special team stuff and make sure we're still got all that, and then take Friday off. But yeah, no days off other than game day on Friday night. So
you mentioned a couple new things down in the red zone. Are you going to use a week for some new plays, some new wrinkles?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're after winning Friday night, we have now set up for the October 30th game against Piedmont at Piedmont to be the region title game. So we're using this week to go ahead and start showing them some of their stuff, what they do defensively, what they do offensively, and just kind of giving them a preview so that when we come to them in 3 weeks and start preparing, it's not the first time they've seen everything. So we don't know a ton of what they do. We haven't seen film on them, but I have a good idea. I coached over there, and their coach over there and myself, I mean, we're close as we're great friends, So I have a good idea as to what they're going to do defensively, and I've called around and talked to some coaches and have a good idea as to what they're going to do offensively. So we're just kind of showing them, because that's the most important game of the year.
Right.
We play Southwest Georgia after the bye week, who's the top 5 team in AA. So that's going to be a great game, another chance for us to step our game up and show these kids where we need to be if we want to make this run. And then we play Westfield, who's a top 3 team in AAA, the week before we play Piedmont. So we got a heck of a schedule ahead of us. And Piedmont last week beat Briarwood 53-18. So a team that people were talking about in Briarwood is maybe a number 1, number 2 team in the state. They go to Piedmont and get embarrassed. So the Piedmont game, Piedmont can play. They're a great team. Westfield, they won state last year. Now they're looking like they'll probably be in the title game again this year. And then Southwest Georgia is a team that just keeps improving. They got a bunch of big old strong country boys, and they can play. So it's going to be fun. It's just like the rest of our season. Nothing we're not used to. We'll be the smallest team in most of the games, and they'll be big and strong. But we'll be the gritty team, and we'll do what we do, and we'll be in the game, and probably most games have a chance to win it late, and hopefully with the experience that we've had against this tough competition, now we're hoping it pays off. So these next 3 games are going to be fun for us. Yeah,
y'all have had a brutal schedule, and the way you talk, it's only going to get worse.
Right. I mean, it's not going to get any easier for sure. But it's like we've talked about. It's if we stay healthy, if we start in the playoffs injury free, then we love our chances, because we've been in a game every week. We haven't had an easy game, So with winning Friday night, now we get a bye to the second round of the playoffs. So we'll be in the Elite 8, and whether we're the 1 seed or the 2 seed will all come down to October 30th. So
it was a big game against Piedmont.
Oh, it'll be fun. It always is. It's always a fun game. It's a rival game, and it's a clean rival game. And you throw records out the scoreboard, out the window, and you throw everything you've done for the first 9 games. Just forget about it, because that game's such a fun one. So.
You mentioned being healthy heading into the playoffs. William Quinlan didn't play this past week.
Right.
What's his status heading into next week's game?
He's just kind of got something like a muscle strain in his ribs in between, and it's just something we're just going to let him rest. He's not going to practice this week, and he may play against Southwest Georgia, but he's not going to practice that week either, and it's just something we're just going to take just very slowly. And it's one of those injuries where if you keep practicing and go, it'll never heal. So we couldn't have asked for a better bye week, so we get a chance now to heal everybody up. We're still going to go hard there in practice, just because, you got to, but other than Quinlan, I mean, I think we're going to be pretty healthy come into the season. So
Murphy's leg still doing okay?
Yeah, but it's a perfect week for him. It's his toe, and it's just one of those things where, you get stepped on, your feet get stepped on in a game, and when it gets stepped on, it hurts like crazy, So it's just one of those things that the more rest that he gets, the better it's going to heal, and better he'll be. So.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you joining us again this week.
Absolutely.
And hope y'all have a good bye week. Hope y'all enjoy it. I'm sure the kids will enjoy Friday night off.
Absolutely.
Join us again next week on the Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Deere. I'm your host, David Carden. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for watching the Wildcats Football Coaches Show. Join Coach Dare and David Carden next week as they continue to review and preview all the Wildcats football games right here on Mountain Vision.
Let's go!
This is Mountain Vision.